Before the Andes rose, before the great rivers found their names, before a single human footprint pressed into the dark soil of South America, this place was already ancient, already complex, already conducting the most intricate biological symphony the planet has ever produced. The Amazon rainforest did not begin when the first trees took root. It began when the ocean withdrew, when a vast inland sea drained away over millions of years, and the floor of that vanished water became the foundation for the greatest living system on Earth. The fossils are still down there, marine shells and ancient coral, buried beneath a canopy so dense that noon looks like dusk, testifying to the impossible truth that what surrounds you now was once the bottom of the sea. 2.5 million square miles of unbroken green. 1 in every 10 species known to science shelters somewhere within it. Some of those species have never been seen by human eyes. Some will vanish before they ever are. The Amazon is not a forest in the way that other forests are forests. It is a force, a living engine of such complexity and power that it shapes the weather systems of continents it never touches, pumps oxygen into the lungs of creatures that will never know it exists, and stores carbon in its ancient trees in quantities that make the calculations of climate scientists go quiet for a moment before they write down the numbers. Every leaf in this place is a solar panel. Every root is a lung. Every fallen trunk is a city of decomposition, conducting the patient, essential business of returning the past to the soil so the future can grow. The Amazon does not waste anything. It cannot afford to. In a system this interconnected, this dependent on its own endless internal recycling, every organism is simultaneously predator and prey, both the beginning and the end of something else. The jaguar announces this truth with silence. It does not roar to assert itself. It does not need to. It moves through the forest floor in the hours before dawn with a patience that has been refined across millions of years of absolute necessity, leaving almost no evidence of its passage except the faintest compression of leaf litter and the cessation of all other sound in a radius that smaller animals understand instinctively. The spotted coat is not decoration, it is mathematics. Each rosette breaks up the jaguar's outline in the dappled green light in a pattern that confuses the eye even when the eye is looking directly at it. A bite force that can crush a caiman's skull through its armored hide. A swimmer of extraordinary power and ease. An animal that has arrived at such perfection of design that evolution has had very little to improve upon for a very long time. Above the forest floor, the Harpy eagle rules a different vertical territory with the same economy of lethal competence. Its wingspan fills the narrow corridors between the trees. Its talons, the size of a brown bear's claws, close with a force that makes the question of resistance irrelevant. It has been observed lifting sloths and monkeys from branches while in full flight, carrying animals that weigh nearly half what it does with a muscular indifference to physics that seems almost rude. The nest it builds, a platform of sticks wide enough to park a car on, may be used across generations. The Harpy eagle, like the jaguar, is playing a very long game. The sloth, on the other branch, has chosen a different strategy with equal success. It does not evade, it disappears. The algae that grows in the grooves of its fur turns it the color of the canopy it inhabits, and it hangs there in its motionless vigil while predators look directly at it and see only green. Its metabolism runs so slowly that it descends from its tree roughly once a week to defecate, and even that journey is conducted with such care and ceremony that it seems like a religious observance. The waste it deposits at the base of the tree fertilizes the roots of the same tree it calls home. The moths that live in its fur feed on that algae and carry pollen between the canopy flowers. The sloth is not a passive participant in this forest. It is a hub, a small, slow, extraordinarily efficient node in a network of mutual dependency that runs through everything here. Sound maps the invisible territories. The howler monkey does not need to be seen to be understood. Its call, produced through a hollow hyoid bone in its throat that works like a biological amplifier, carries 3 miles through the forest canopy in the morning stillness, broadcasting territorial claims that its neighbors read with complete comprehension. It is a voice that seems to come from somewhere older than language, from some register of animal communication that operates below the frequencies of conscious thought, producing in the human chest a vibration that feels less like hearing and more like being warmed. Color in the Amazon is never innocent. The toucan's enormous bill, banded in orange and blue and yellow, hollow and lightweight, and perfectly engineered for reaching fruit on branches too slender for any competitor, doubles as a heat radiator, channels of blood pulsing through it to regulate body temperature in the thick afternoon heat. The poison dart frog advertises its lethality in electric blue and burning orange, wearing its toxins on the outside like armor made of light. Even the blue Morpho butterfly, whose wings flash metallic turquoise in the filtered forest light, is practicing a form of optical deception. The color is not pigment, but physics, microscopic structures bending light into brilliance. The underside a dull brown that makes the butterfly vanish completely the moment it closes its wings and becomes shadow. Beneath the visible drama of predator and prey, the Amazon's real architects labor in the dark. Leafcutter ants move through the undergrowth in columns of focused industry, each one carrying a fragment of leaf many times its own size, with a mechanical purposefulness that makes the word civilization feel less metaphorical than it should.
The leaves are not food. They are fertilizer for the underground fungal gardens that the colony tends with a sophistication that took human agriculture millions of years to approximate. Specialized casts cut and clean and transport. Chemical factories on the ants' bodies produce antibiotics that protect the fungal crop from mold. A single colony can move 12 tons of vegetation in a year. A single colony can outlive entire dynasties. The Amazon River itself is the central fact around which everything else arranges itself. Born from Andean snowmelt, it travels 4,400 miles to the Atlantic, releasing more fresh water into the ocean every second than the next 7 largest rivers on Earth combined. From space, it appears as a silver serpent dividing the continent, but that image understates the reality. The river floods its banks every year by 40 feet in some places, drowning forests and creating a landscape that is neither land nor water, but something that has no name in most languages. The Pink River dolphin navigates this flooded world by echolocation, moving between the trees of a submerged forest as if the laws of geography have been temporarily suspended. The giant otter hunts fish in family groups with a cooperative efficiency and vocal vocabulary that suggests social intelligence operating at levels that most people are not comfortable associating with otters. Beneath the surface, more fish species live in the Amazon basin than in the entire Atlantic Ocean. The Pirarucú, one of the world's largest freshwater fish, an ancient creature that breathes air at the surface and navigates by the electrical fields generated by its prey, has been living this way since before humans arrived in South America. The green anaconda, heaviest snake on Earth at over 500 pounds, moves through the flooded margins with a liquid patience, hunting caiman and capybara with a constriction that kills by making breathing impossible, a method so efficient that it has not needed to change in millions of years. The forest floor at night becomes a different country. The cougar, rangy and silent, covers its 100-square-mile territory through scent posts and shadow, ambushing prey with a burst of speed that lasts only seconds, because it needs to last only seconds. The spectacled owl triangulates the position of its prey through sound alone, its facial disc working like a satellite dish to gather and focus acoustic information with a precision that rivals any instrument humans have built for the same purpose. The eyelash viper, coiled among the orchids in a posture so still it achieves a kind of invisibility, waits with a patience that is essentially infinite, injecting hemotoxic venom in a strike that takes less than a second and which it has been perfecting, in evolutionary terms, for as long as there have been frogs to catch. Long before any of the modern world cities were built, the Amazon was already home to civilizations of extraordinary complexity and ambition. Satellite imaging has revealed geometric causeways and raised agricultural fields stretching for miles across the Bolivian savanna. LIDAR scans of the Brazilian forest show circular villages connected by radiating roads and defensive trenches. Not primitive clearings, but engineered communities designed for trade, resilience, and ecological conversation with the seasons. And everywhere across this ancient human landscape, the dark soil known as Terra, literally dark earth, marks the fingerprints of a forgotten agricultural science. This soil, enriched by charcoal and bone and organic waste, locked carbon into the ground for centuries and supported dense populations in an environment that should have been too poor to sustain them. Even now, 500 years after the civilizations that created it disappeared from history, Terra grows crops taller and stronger than the surrounding soil without any added fertilizer. The forest has reclaimed it, but the earth remembers. The Huaorani people of Ecuador's Amazon basin read this forest the way scholars read ancient texts, through scent, sound, shadow, the particular quality of silence that announces a predator, the exact height at which a certain vine flowers that tells you which season of fish has arrived at the river. Their relationship with this environment is not the relationship of a visitor or even an inhabitant. It is the relationship of something that grew here, that is made of this place in every meaningful sense. A Huaorani man standing barefoot on the prow of a dugout canoe, feeling the tug of a fishing line with his fingers in the black water, is not doing something that could be called primitive. He is practicing a form of ecological fluency that took thousands of years to develop and that no university in the world currently teaches. Today, the Amazon still breathes, but its pulse is uneven. Chainsaws move through valleys that once knew only wind and the percussion of rain on a million leaves. Fires set to clear land for cattle burn beyond their intended borders, releasing in hours what the spent centuries sequestering, poachers move through the shadows with the same patience the Jaguar uses, but in service of a market that consumes beauty without understanding what it is destroying. The numbers are not abstract. When a section of the Amazon is cleared, the local rainfall patterns change. The rivers run thinner. The carbon cycle is interrupted. The consequences travel through the atmosphere, through the ocean currents, through the weather systems of countries whose citizens have never heard of the specific valley that just burned. And yet the forest endures. Trees rise again after fire, the first shoots pushing through ash within weeks, the forest's immune response kicking in with a speed and determination that seems almost personal. The rain still forms above the canopy, falls to the earth, and rises again as vapor to form new clouds. The cycle continues because it has no alternative. It is simply what the Amazon does. It is what it has always done. It is the most resilient large system on Earth, and it requires only one thing from the human species, that we stop treating its resilience as permission to continue. The Amazon breathes, and so do we. That statement is not poetry, it is physiology. Every fifth breath you take carries oxygen that passed through a leaf in this forest. The water vapor this place releases shapes monsoons that water crops on the other side of the planet. The carbon it stores represents a kind of planetary memory, a record of every year the forest was allowed to live undisturbed, written in the width of rings and the depth of roots. When you lose the Amazon, you do not lose a beautiful place. You lose a system that the earth depends on to regulate itself. You lose a library of biological solutions to survival that evolution spent 500 million years writing. You lose, in a very direct and measurable sense, the stability of the climate that makes human civilization possible. The mist rises above the canopy in the morning light. The river catches the sun in 1,000 small mirrors. Somewhere in the green cathedral below, a jaguar sets its path through shadows that have sheltered great cats for longer than humanity has kept records. The howler monkey calls, and the call travels 3 miles through the humid air. The leafcutter ant carries its fragment of future toward an underground garden that will never see the sun. And the forest breathes, enormous, ancient, threatened, still magnificent, conducting its symphony for anyone willing to be still enough to listen. The pink river dolphin of the Amazon, the Boto, has occupied a singular place in the mythology of riverside communities since before European contact. According to the legend told across dozens of Amazonian cultures, the Boto can transform itself into a handsome man who emerges from the river at night during festivals, seduces young women, and then returns to the water before dawn. The legend explains certain inconvenient pregnancies and certain unexplained disappearances, but it also does something more interesting. It encodes, in narrative form, the community's intuition that the river has its own intelligence, its own desires, its own agenda that occasionally intersects with human life. The pink dolphin, navigating the flooded forest by echolocation, moving between drowned trees with a grace that seems to belong to a different physics, exists at the boundary between the natural and the supernatural in a way that no amount of scientific explanation has ever fully colonized. This is the quality of the Amazon that is hardest to convey and most important to understand. It is a system of such complexity that it generates meaning as a byproduct. The leafcutter ant carrying its fragment of leaf, the glass frog resting on the underside of a leaf with its organs visible through transparent skin, its heart a tiny engine of red light. The giant water lily whose disc can support the weight of a child, whose flowers open white at dusk and blush to pink by morning, then close forever. A life cycle measured in hours rather than seasons. The forest produces these things not to be observed, but because they work. And the fact that they also compel wonder, that they arrest the human attention and produce something close to reverence, may be an accident of our neurology rather than an intention of the forest. But the reverence, once produced, has consequences that turn out to be important. Rubber tapper communities deep in the Brazilian Amazon have practiced a form of forest management for generations that ecologists now study as a model of sustainable use. They tap their trees, harvest their Brazil nuts, fish their rivers, and maintain the forest's integrity, because their entire livelihood depends on the forest remaining intact. They do not clear-cut because clear-cut land cannot sustain them. The economic logic and the ecological logic align. What the forest-dwelling communities of the Amazon have always known, that the forest is worth more standing than felled, is what conservation economics has been spending decades trying to make legible to the global marketplace in the language that marketplace understands. The Amazon is not wilderness in the sense of a place untouched by human action. It is wilderness in the original sense. Wild land, land governed by its own logic rather than human convenience. Land that has been shaped by every species that inhabits it, including the human ones, over 10,000 years of habitation and relationship. The distinction matters because it changes what we are trying to protect. Not an empty garden, not a pristine laboratory, a living, dynamic, ancient collaboration between thousands of species and dozens of human cultures that has produced the most complex biological system on Earth. Protecting it means protecting that collaboration, and protecting that collaboration means listening, as carefully as we know how, to everything it is still trying to tell us. The manatee drifts through the black water rivers in the flooded forest with a patience that seems geological, grazing on aquatic vegetation, shaping channels through underwater meadows, related to the elephant in ways that the body reveals if you look closely enough at the shape of the face and the intelligence of the eye. The giant otter, by contrast, is perpetual motion, a family group patrolling its river territory with high-pitched vocalizations and a cooperative hunting efficiency that makes it, pound for pound, one of the most effective aquatic predators on the continent. These two creatures occupy the same river system in completely different registers of urgency, and the river accommodates both without preference, as it accommodates everything: the ancient and the active, the still and the frantic, the enormous and the microscopic.
The Amazon does not sort its inhabitants by temperament. It simply makes room.